Chapter 3 answers the question, what is high-quality classroom assessment? The chapter discusses that high-quality assessments provide results that verify and promote targeted student learning and motivation and also inform instruction decision-making. Chapter 3 has 4 learning outcomes. Know how different types of assessments match with different types of learning targets, understanding that some assessment methods are best for measuring knowledge and understanding and other types of measuring reasoning skills. Understand the nature of evidence for validity and reliability precision as characteristics of obtained scores, how they are different, and why they are important for obtaining credible assessment data. Know what is needed for fair assessment, including how to avoid bias and make assessment appropriate for special student populations, and understand what makes assessment practical and efficient and why this is an important consideration in determining how to measure student outcomes. From the objectives, I identified 4 learning targets that will be our focus for this discussion. Students will be able to select the best type of assessment to measure specific learning targets and the skill level being assessed, understand the difference between validity and reliability precision, explain why they are important for obtaining credible assessment data, and apply knowledge to the creation of formative and summative assessments. Understand factors that contribute to unfair assessments and create assessments appropriate for special student populations, and understand what contributes to practical and efficient assessments and why this is an important consideration when determining how to measure student outcomes. Student proficiency will be measured through teacher observation, embedded formative assessment, Unit 1 exam questions, and the unit plan project. First, let's review the case study for this chapter. Which assessment should Kiona use? Kiona, a 6th grade science teacher, was frustrated because 9 snow days had limited her teaching time. Her learning targets involved having students acquire knowledge of cellular parts and gain an understanding of their functions. Her students had completed their interactive notes on cell parts, watched a video on cell parts functions, completed a matching sort of parts to definitions, looked at cells under a microscope, and made paper diagrams of both plant and animal cells. Kiona had planned for an interactive web quest and making 3D plant and animal cells out of shoe boxes and Jell-O, but there was not time. Kiona decided to have students use technology to make cell diagrams to allow her to assess her students' learning. Students could use either the iPad or the computer to label, define, and provide a sentence about each part's cellular function. With such little time left in the unit, the students would only be able to complete a diagram of an animal cell. Kiona had formatively assessed her students' learning, but lacked graded quizzes or projects. She knew the value of grades since they provided a way of communicating with students and their parents about a student's progress in mastering concepts, so she wanted to be sure to have at least 2 grades, one regarding students' learning on plant cells and the other animal cells. The animal cells grade would come from the diagram students were completing, but she didn't know what to do about assessing students' learning on plant cells. Kiona decided she could A. give a quiz that had students demonstrate their learning about plant cells by matching definitions, labeling cell parts, and completing multiple choice items regarding functions, or B. give an at-home project with a grading rubric that requires students to build a model of a plant cell with parts labeled, defined, and functions explained. She was torn since both assessments aligned with her format of in-class learning activities and state standards of students knowing cellular parts and their functions. As we learn about this chapter, think about which assessment Kiona should use. What should be Kiona's overall concern when deciding between the assessments? Should she give the quiz or the project? What should Kiona's specific criteria be for making her decision? And using the criteria, in what ways is each assessment strong and weak? Clear targets mean that both students and teachers understand the nature of learning that is expected and what student proficiencies will result. Appropriate targets are those that are reasonable and aligned with student characteristics, instructions, and standards. Learning Target 1. Students will be able to select the best type of assessment to measure specific learning targets and the skill level being assessed. Having clear and appropriate learning targets and alignment of assessment methods and learning targets are two criteria for ensuring high-quality classroom assessment. When reviewing targets, ask, are the targets at the right level of difficulty to motivate students? Is there adequate balance among different types of targets? Are the targets consistent with your overall goals and the goals of the school and district? Are the targets comprehensive, covering all major dimensions that you hope to change and need feedback about? Are the criteria for judging student performance clear? Answers to these questions help ensure high-quality assessment. Clear targets mean that both students and teachers understand the nature of learning that is expected and what student proficiencies will result. Appropriate targets are those that are reasonable and aligned with student characteristics, instruction, and standards. There are 4 major categories of assessment methods: selected response, constructed response, teacher observation, and student self-assessment. The major distinguishing characteristic of most classroom assessments is whether the items use selected response or constructed response formats. In the selected response format, students are presented with a question that has 2 or more possible responses. Students then select an answer from the possible choices. Common selected response items include multiple choice, true, false, and matching. These kinds of items may also be called objective, referring to the way the answers are scored without judgment. A single correct or best answer is identified for each item, and scoring is simply a matter of checking to determine whether the voice was correct. A constructed response format requires students to create or produce their own answer in response to a question or task. Brief constructed response items are those in which students provide a very short, clearly delineated answer, such as filling in a blank at the end of a sentence, writing a few words or a sentence or two, or answering a mathematics problem by showing how they arrived at the answer. Although many constructed response assessments require considerable subjectivity in judging an answer, brief constructed response items are objectively scored in one sense because there is typically a single correct answer that is easily identified. Performance or performance-based assessments require students to construct a more extensive and elaborate answer or response. A well-defined task is identified, and students are asked to create, produce, or do something, often in settings that involve real-world application of knowledge and skills. Performance formats are differentiated into products, such as painting, portfolio, paper, or exhibition, and performances, such as a speech, athletic skill, musical recital, or reading. Essay items allow students to construct a response that would be several sentences, which is called a restricted response, to many paragraphs or pages in length, which is an extended response. And the 4th main type is oral questioning. Oral questioning is used continuously in an informal way during instruction to monitor student understanding, and it's also used in a more formalized format. Oral questions can be used as a way to test or as a way to determine student understanding through interviews or conferences. Teacher observations are so common that we often don't think of them as a form of student assessment, but teachers constantly observe students informally to assess student understanding and progress. Often, nonverbal communication, such as squinting, inattention, looks of frustration, and other cues, is more helpful than verbal feedback. Observation is used extensively as well as in performance assessments, and other formal observational techniques are used to assess classroom climate, teacher effectiveness, and other dimensions of the classroom. Student self-assessment refers to students reporting on or evaluating themselves. In self-evaluation of academic achievement, Students rate their own performance in relation to established standards and criteria. In self-report inventory, students are asked to complete a form or answer questions that review their attitudes and beliefs about themselves or other students. Figure 3.3 represents the matching targets with methods scorecard. This figure summarizes the relative strengths of different methods for measuring different targets. Notice that the same types of targets can be assessed very well by several methods. This is good for providing more flexibility in the assessments you use. It's always good to use a variety of assessments, but it also means there is no simple formula or one correct method. The scorecard gives you general guidelines about how well particular assessment methods measure each type of target. The numbers 1, which equals poor, to 5 is excellent, represent the relative strength of the method to provide a high-quality assessment for specific targets. Variation to what is presented in the figure should be expected. Well-constructed selected response and brief constructed response items do a good job of assessing subject matter and procedural knowledge and simple understanding, particularly when students must recognize or remember isolated facts, definitions, spellings, concepts, and principles. Reasoning and deep understanding skills are best assessed in essays and performance assessments. Performance assessments are also effective in measuring reasoning skills and deep understanding. Selected response and brief constructed response questions can be a good method for assessing certain aspects of deep understanding and reasoning. Performance assessments are clearly the preferred method to determine systematically whether a student has mastered a skill. The best way to assess student product is to have students complete one through a performance assessment. Affective and dispositional outcomes are best assessed by either observing students or using student self-reports. Observations can be effective in determining, informally, many dispositional traits such as motivation and attitudes towards subjects, and student self-concept are often apparent when the student shows negative feelings through body posture, a reluctance to interact with others, and withdrawal. Proceed to video 2, which focuses on the second learning target, which discusses validity and reliability in classroom assessment.